up there like a precipice.
Yes. So that part is at least over for sure.
Yeah, that got rudely
And that's
shaken.
good actually for market. Let's make it very clear. It's the kind of
It was too unhealthy.
It's too unhealthy for the market. You need these kind of phases in the market to test your skills, to test your patience, to test your risk management, your trading psychology. Everything must be tested.
And your stock picking ability. Okay, well, we will be reverting to markets after they settle down a bit. But Sonia, there's an important guest joining us.
Yes, there is. In fact, we have been talking about this whole consumption trend, right? So we have the management of Godrej Consumer with us. In fact, they had an analyst meet over the weekend and they sounded extremely optimistic at that analyst meet. They spoke about some disruptive innovation in the core India categories in the next 1 year. So very interesting. Let's talk about that. Sunil Kataria, the CEO of India and the South business at Godrej Consumer Products, joins in now. Sunil, thanks so much for joining us and welcome to CNBC TV 18's discussion. I wanted to just start by asking you about what's happening with one of the key segments, right? I mean, in the last 8 to 10 months, we've seen a massive boom in this whole hygiene segment. The sanitizer demand has gone up. But now that we're entering into this vaccine era, has sanitizer and hygiene, has the demand for some of these products petered off? What is the percentage of overall revenues and how do you see this whole segment shape up?
Yeah, hi, thank you for hosting me. And I did an analyst call just 2 days back, which you've read. So on this hygiene segment, I think, this obviously this segment, I want to define it a little differently, When most of the people I talk to hygiene, they think that hygiene is primarily sanitizers, disinfectant sprays, or hand washes, obviously, in this country. I think apart from hand washing, which is obviously a very large part of the market which is evolving, the biggest hygiene in India is still soaps, because the majority of Indians still cannot afford hand washes. So I think when we talk of hygiene, we should keep in mind that the real hygiene segment of this country is both personal wash, which is soaps, and hand washes. And these two are pretty large segments. Soaps obviously is 100% penetrated, but what it is seeing right now is the hygiene habits in this country have definitely taken a disruptive jump. And while I expect obviously post, let's say, COVID vaccine coming, and we are already seeing some effects of this happening, that people are becoming a little bit more indifferent, while it will stabilize not to that frenzy level, but the fact is the hand washing habits of this country have changed for them. And hence, I think both personal wash segment as well as the hand wash segment will keep on growing pretty strongly. Just to give an example, the hand wash segment in India was roughly at around 20% penetration over the last decade. It reached that level. And in a matter of 8 months of COVID, the penetration has jumped from 20 to 33. And even if, let's say, it stabilizes at 30, I mean, we have actually maybe just done the work which has happened in terms of our habit changes, a work which would have taken maybe a decade to happen. So I think that's the perspective we should keep in mind.
Got that, Sunil. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. Well, if you can tell us, first, a small question from what you just said. How much are sanitizers a multiple of what you were selling, say, in March? How much have they grown? And therefore, what percentage of the total is it? But more separately, I wanted a takeaway from the analyst call. When you say disruptive innovation, what exactly do you mean? What will be the big categories over the next 3 years?
Okay, so first let me address this sanitizer question.
Yes.
See, the sanitizer market in the country obviously has gone up by some, almost 100 times. I mean, it was a non-existent market. But, whether that sanitizer, first of all, that market is not going to stay because this is an expensive category. It is premium. Everybody can't afford it. And secondly, it is very, very SOS panic-driven category. So it is already coming down very sharply. Secondly, what has happened for most branded players? Today, as per Nielsen, there are some maybe 800 to 1,000 players who are in the market right now. So there's a glut of sanitizers in the market. The supply is already multiple times of the demand and a declining demand. So I think sanitizers category would stabilize at a very, very lower level than what we have seen in the past, let's say 3 months, but it will still be pretty much high above than what it used to be because it was almost practically non-existent. But so that I think is the point on sanitizers. Okay. But I still want to tell you that hygiene category in India will be defined by hand washes, will be defined by the way soaps consumption moves, and will be defined by some of the premium segments like maybe disinfectant sprays. Now, coming to your other question on disruptive innovations. As you know, as you know, at GCPL, I mean, innovation is something which is part of our DNA itself. For the last decade, if you see, 1/3 of our growths have always been driven by these NPDs or the disruptive innovations in the past across categories. So when we talk of disruptive innovation, and when I was referring to in the analyst call, it was actually a broad-based talk, but I can tell you some of the categories where we look for disruptive innovations. One is definitely, as a leader of household insecticide category, we have one task to do, that we need to drive the category recruitment. And that's a very important job of a leader. So we are talking of maybe an innovation coming over the next 3 to 4 quarters towards the lower end of the market, where we would like to enhance the share of recruitment. So that's one piece. The second one, definitely, we believe that we already have a very strong innovation in the form of Godrej Protect Magic 2 liquid hand wash. It's maybe the world's cheapest and most affordable hand wash, which actually is now certifiedly effective on COVID. And that's a 15 rupee product. And this country is got a huge market of 10 rupee soaps. So we believe we can upgrade people from soaps to hand washes through this disruptive innovation. And then we are talking of a few more couple of disruptive innovations happening in the segments of hair colors as well as hair care.
Okay, so those are the segments, but overall, in terms of domestic volume growth, at any point in the next few quarters, are you expecting to get back to double-digit growth, or is that too ambitious a target? Because I was just looking at your last 6 or 7 quarters, you've been in a range of around 3 to 7% on an average. What would the next few quarters look like?
Yeah, so in any case, in the past, if you see overall our last 2 quarters results, they've been pretty robust. And we expect a reasonably decent value growth going forward as well. Now, there are 2 parts to this, again, I would say. One is the economic rebound has got too many variables going forward. So like I was listening to the conversation you guys were having, prior to my meeting. And this, while we were seeing maybe one phase of panic was over, we saw definitely a pent-up demand coming, leading to a reasonably strong pre-Diwali consumption, and then a little bit of softening post-Diwali. But I think I'm still very bullish. But the only variable is what's, let's say, panned out maybe in the last 48 hours about this new strain of COVID virus. So I think these unknowns are a bit of a thing which have a hangover at the back of my mind. And those are the ones which we can't predict. Let's assume these things do not disrupt again, because that's obviously unpredictable. Then I think the economy hopefully should start rebounding from the first quarter of next year as vaccine starts disseminating this country. And given the kind of pivots that we have in terms of both innovation as well as, I would say, some of the GTM work that we are doing, I expect a high single-digit volume growth in a sustained form, leading to, coupled with price hikes, hopefully a double-digit value growth.
Well, just a word on, how, the rural-urban split. Is it still rural markets that are roaring for you? And as well, global products, how are exports shaping up? Are they doing better than domestic?
So let me just say on the exports first. Exports have actually surprisingly done decently well for us. But yes, there are variables on exports are really about, almost operations variables really. That, it's almost getting the right kind of, shipment dates. It's about right kind of facilities. It's about the country which you export to, they being ready to open to receive products, etc. So I think the variables there are multifold. I believe exports can be a little choppy, although they have not been for us, but they're a very small portion of our business. In terms of rural versus urban, clearly rurals have been an outlier over the last 9 months. And they have, and we all know the reasons by and large, they're pretty well kind of talked about. It is a bit of, the kind of, stimulus that the government has put in the rural economy, which definitely has shaped up demand there. Secondly, we have seen a pretty good monsoon happening. The harvest has been good. So, and some part of reverse migration, I think, has played some role. So I think there's definitely a kind of a sweet spot which has emerged in rural. Urban has got impacted by 2 parts. One, the biggest contributor to urban is the metros. And metros have actually been hurt the most by lockdowns. And they are still taking time to come back.
Okay.
So till metros come back fully, urban will be a laggard versus rural.
Okay.
And that is one story I see going forward. Okay. However, within urban, the middle India, as we call it in our company, or the tier 1 and 2 towns, they are coming back pretty strongly in terms of cost.
Let me
but
try.
I still see rural outpacing urban going forward.
Got that.
Or at least maybe 2 quarters.
Got that. Just let me squeeze a last one. If you're going in for innovative, disruptive innovation, as you called it, whether it is home insecticides or, as you said, even hair care and hair color, it would mean more ad spends, isn't it? Won't that impact margins? Net margins?
No, I think, no, see, in any case, as I said, our funnel always is so strong that we budget in the fact that 1/3 of our growth ideally should come from the future products. And that's how the business goes in a sustained way. So I am not bothered about margins because our business is tweaked in such a way that we are able to fund our NPD funnel consistently. We also have a very, very strong program, which we call as the program PI, which is now into its 6th year of running. It's a program which consistently looks across the organization, led by maybe some 40 cross-functional teams every year, which weeds out any cost inefficiencies that we see in our system. And that's been working very smoothly. It's a very, very cultural phenomena for us. So I don't think so that's a challenge.
I just wanted your thoughts on the e-commerce pie. I mean, currently you have about a 4% of a business share that comes from the e-commerce route. How much do you plan to grow it by, and how is this helping you in terms of, customer connections, improving your supply chain, etc.?
So e-commerce definitely is a very, very strategic pivot emerging. I think I will just maybe step back and say, one of the biggest changes that we are seeing around the country, and which is one we are all going to grapple with before it settles down, and I honestly don't know when it will settle down, is the emergence of omni-channel, in which e-commerce is one play. So what is going to happen is most of the modern trade players and online retail, you are already seeing convergence happening in various forms. So I think the phenomena that we all have to be geared up for is omni-channel, and in which e-commerce plays one of the big roles. Currently, it's 4% for us. I'm assuming that this will continue to grow at I would like it to grow at maybe a 1.7 times consistently over the next 3 years or so. And if that happens, this should be a 8 to 10% business over the next 3 to 2 years for us. Currently, it's 4% salience. Having said that, I think the important point of e-commerce, as you talk about consumer engagement, is that it really gives the marketeers the ability to move the consumer journey directly from awareness to fulfillment. And I think that's an important variable which is emerging here, and that's an important skill that we all need to learn. And I think the important piece for us in e-commerce would be how we can premiumize the e-commerce portfolio, how we can actually grow the categories which otherwise on a general trade or a modern trade would have taken huge amount of marketing monies going behind it. I think e-commerce gives you an ability to short circuit and to really test out some of the niche and premium play categories.
Right. Okay, we'll leave it at that. It was a pleasure speaking with you, Sunil Kataria, and I do hope that 2021 turns out to be very good for you and for Godrej Consumer.
Thank you.
Okay, well, let's quickly wrap up this conversation with a mention of the past financials of Godrej Consumer, starting with the top line trend. That's it, yeah. FY20 wasn't too good for them, and the EBITDA performance as well will show you a similar trend, I would assume. It's a little flatter in the EBITDA. It's not gone down so much. It was only revenue that went down, but profit did take a knock. Will that come up for you? Oh yes, there's the knock on profit, but the first half of this year they've done exceptionally well. We'll take a break on that note and thereafter shift to another sector that's been buzzing, defense. The Defense Acquisition Council has announced it will domestically procure defense equipment worth 27,000 crores. There are also changes to FDI automatic approval of 74%. We're going to speak to Mr. M.V. Gautama, Chairman and Managing Director of BEL, to assess the impact.